Have you ever heard of the Diamond Sutra? It is a crucial and classic scripture in Mahayana Buddhism, considered the fundamental teaching of Buddhist philosophy. The word Vajra in Sanskrit has two meanings. First, a lightning bolt that penetrates all things. Second, the hardest diamond. Simply put, the Diamond Sutra teaches that when sorrow and vexations arise, you can be like a lightning bolt, piercing through them in an instant, making your mind as firm as a diamond, unshakable by anything. And when joy comes, you can be like a lightning bolt, seeing through its true nature, keeping your mind steadfast against all temptations, pleasures, and desires. This is why many people, including non-Buddhists, seek out the Diamond Sutra to cultivate inner strength, free from external influences, and escape suffering and affliction. In its original form, the Diamond Sutra is actually very short, consisting of just over 5,000 characters, recording a dialogue between the Buddha and his disciple, Subhuti. However, understanding it is not easy because, despite being a recorded conversation, the language is still that of a Buddhist scripture, profound and difficult to grasp. Furthermore, each chapter is usually just a small segment, a few concise sentences that require careful contemplation. If you merely read it, you might feel vague or as if the book says nothing at all. Throughout history, there have been many explanations and debates about the sutra. However, among countless interpretations, I find that the explanation by the great Master Nan Huai-Chin is exceptionally insightful and sharp, yet incredibly accessible and easy to understand. That's why today I want to convey the core spirit of the Diamond Sutra through this author's book. What the Diamond Sutra says, inviting you to discover a way of life completely free from suffering and sorrow. The full name of the Diamond Sutra is the Vajra Prajñāpāramitā Sutra. What does Prajñāpāramitā mean? Prajna in Sanskrit means wisdom. Here, wisdom refers to the supreme wisdom to perceive all things and their true nature most genuinely. It is not ordinary intelligence gained through reasoning or accumulated knowledge, and paramita means to reach the other shore. Why must we reach the other shore? Because where we stand, what our eyes see, is not the true destination. What we imagine belongs to us ultimately proves meaningless. The other shore is not a specific place, but the highest realm of consciousness where humans are freed from all fetters and all suffering. Therefore, Prajñāpāramitā combined means the wisdom that takes us to the shore of enlightenment. The Diamond Sutra is precisely the Dharma that uses wisdom to achieve ultimate liberation. Now, let's listen together. First, I'll talk a little about the author of the book, Nan Huai-Chin. He was a Chinese master of traditional studies, an educator, a professor at many universities, and renowned for his deep understanding of Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism, capable of conveying and explaining them to people in the most profound and understandable way. After ceasing his university teaching, he began to travel extensively, seeking out high monks and extraordinary individuals, and studying Buddhism in great monasteries. It is said that he received transmissions and enlightenment from many lamas and high monks. After 1949, he moved to Taiwan, then lived in the United States, producing numerous classic works that have been translated into many languages and circulated worldwide, such as Analects of Confucius, I Ching, Mencius, and so on. This rich life journey gave him a thorough understanding of the nature of life, as well as profound insights into Buddhist scriptures, including the Diamond Sutra. And now, let's find out what the Diamond Sutra says. The first essential step on the path to liberation. The Diamond Sutra opens with a story recorded as follows. I will not quote the original text of the Diamond Sutra in classical Chinese, which is very difficult to understand even in many Vietnamese translations from ancient Chinese. Therefore, I will share it directly in colloquial language to make it more accessible to everyone. The story goes like this. One day, the Buddha was in the Jeta Grove, in the garden of Anathapindika, in the country of Esravasti, with 1,250 great bhikkhus. When it was nearly mealtime, the world-honored one put on his robe, took his bowl, and entered the great city of Esravasti to beg for alms. He went from house to house for alms, then returned to the monastery, finished his meal, put away his robe and bowl. After washing his feet, he spread his seat and sat down. At that time, Subhuti, the great disciple of the Buddha, rose from his seat among the crowd. He bared his right shoulder, knelt on his right knee, and with clasped hands respectfully addressed the Buddha. "Oh, most revered world-honored one, you have shown concern for everyone's thoughts and advised everyone so well. World-honored one, those who wish to attain supreme wisdom, please tell us how should they abide in their minds? How should they subdue their minds?" The Buddha said, "Excellent, excellent, Subhuti. As you say, I am indeed concerned with everyone's thoughts, and I advise everyone very well. Now listen carefully, and I will tell you. Those who wish to attain supreme wisdom should abide in their minds like this, and subdue their minds like this." Yes, world-honored one, we are delighted and happy to listen to your teaching. The dialogue ends here. Don't you find it very perplexing with the question, how should one abide in the mind? How should one subdue the mind? The Buddha merely answered, one should abide in the mind like this, subdue the mind like this, and then stopped. So, how exactly should one abide in the mind? In fact, what the Buddha meant by saying that is to point out that in the very moment you ask that question, you have already achieved enlightenment. All those who have moments of urge to know who they truly are, how to escape suffering, how to live meaningfully, and so on, are moments when we touch enlightenment. However, enlightenment is a fleeting moment. It flashes and then fades if you cannot maintain long-term mindfulness. Therefore, the most important thing is to cultivate and keep the flame of enlightenment from extinguishing. Please ask yourself, are there 3 good things you once started but couldn't sustain for long? How many times have you exercised, eaten healthy, read books, meditated, cultivated gratitude, only to give up later? Similarly, some people have achieved awakening, but after a while, they return to their original state. What's even more noteworthy is that many people have never even entered that first moment of awakening. They have many thoughts, but they only revolve around questions like how to live more comfortably, how to be safe, how to possess and control more. These questions do not lead them to freedom, but only bind them to more insecurities. Therefore, the flame of awakening is only flickering in a few people. The journey to maintain that flame in any circumstance is for an even smaller number. Once you embark on the path of cultivating enlightenment, you may sometimes feel like a flickering flame in the dark night, surrounded by a dense and obscure crowd. Don't worry that the flame is too fragile to be extinguished. Because as long as you are brave and persistent, seriously, purely, and diligently practice, no matter how small it is enough to spread the light of awakening to the entire crowd. So, if there is a silent voice within you urging you to seek complete liberation from suffering, to achieve true freedom, then rejoice, for you are at a sacred starting point. It is not by chance, but the seed of diamond wisdom that you have sown over countless eons has now perfectly sprouted. The moment you ask the question about abiding in the mind is the moment you are looking directly at the purest light within you. Hold on to it as a blessing. So, what should we continue to do to maintain the flame of awakening? The Diamond Sutra points to the key method, the 6 perfections. Sustain the practice of the 6 perfections to completely liberate yourself from suffering. What are the 6 perfections? The full name is the 6 paramitas. Paramita, as mentioned above, means the other shore, where there is no more suffering. The 6 paramitas are 6 methods of practice, including generosity dana, morality sila, patience santi, diligence virya, meditation dhyana, and wisdom prajna. In fact, the Diamond Sutra does not explain what the 6 perfections are, but the Buddha, through his very actions, transmitted the Dharma to everyone from the beginning. The Buddha put on his robe, took his bowl, went from house to house for alms, then returned to the monastery, finished his meal, put away his robe and bowl. After washing his feet, he spread his seat and sat down. Every action of his was an embodiment of the 6 perfections. Begging for alms symbolizes generosity dana. We call it begging for alms, understanding it as asking for food. But in reality, it is sowing blessings for sentient beings. The Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha are the 3 jewels. For those who do not know the 3 jewels to sow blessings, this act of offering is actually sowing blessings for them. Next, donning the robe and holding the bowl symbolizes morality sila. The bowl in Sanskrit is called patra, meaning appropriate vessel. Appropriate means suitable, vessel means a tool to hold just enough food to eat. In Buddhism, setting a certain precept for a specific action and maintaining that discipline is, simply put, practicing morality. For example, the Buddha set the precept of 1 meal a day at noon. because the eating times in Buddhism are divided as morning is for devas, heavenly beings, noon is for humans, evening is for hungry ghosts. Taking the human realm as the center, no food is consumed after 1 p.m. Maintaining this daily is practicing morality. Then, going from house to house begging for alms is an expression of patience, K-Santi *. Patience demonstrates endurance and forbearance. But it is not about bowing down to everyone. Rather, it is about facing all difficulties, adversities, encountering unpleasant questions, or undesirable circumstances in life without anger, resentment, or negative actions. Patience means being able to open one's heart and embrace everything. After finishing the alms round, the Buddha did not eat immediately on the road but returned to the designated place to eat. After eating, he put away his bowl, neatly folded his robe, and washed his feet to clean off dirt. These actions are very simple, very rustic, but they also symbolize the dharma of diligence, Vajra within the 6 perfections, being industrious, persistent, and orderly. Afterward, the Buddha spread his seat and sat down, which is meditation, dhyana. And the entire process is wisdom, prajna. Through this, we see that in the Diamond Sutra, the image of the Buddha is not that of a distant, revered, and worshipped figure, but one who is approachable, simple, and orderly. He shows us that the 6 paramitas are not separate from each other, but that every action in daily life contains these 6 aspects. If your every word and deed maintains the 6 perfections, your mind will be at peace. Otherwise, vexations will arise. Therefore, if we understand the 6 perfections, we will know that every action throughout the day is an opportunity for practice that helps us escape suffering. However, maintaining the 6 perfections is not easy until you overcome the greatest obstacle in life, the 4 perceptions. Breaking attachment to forms, overcoming the mind's greatest obstacle. In the next part of the dialogue, the Buddha said to Subhuti, Bodhisattvas should subdue their minds in this way. All sentient beings belonging to myriad species, those born from eggs, from wombs, from moisture, from transformation, those with form without form, those with thought without thought, those who are neither with thought nor without thought, I vow to lead them all to complete nirvana, that is, complete liberation. However, what is called helping sentient beings attain liberation is, in reality, no sentient beings have been liberated. Why is that? Subhuti, if a bodhisattva still clings to the perception of a self, a person, a being, or a lifespan, then they are not a bodhisattva. Furthermore, Subhuti, when a bodhisattva practices generosity, they should not cling to any particular method. In other words, when giving, do not cling to what you see, hear, smell, taste, touch, or think. Subhuti, when a bodhisattva practices generosity, they should not cling to any form. If a bodhisattva practices generosity without clinging to forms, their merit is immeasurable. Subhuti, can you imagine how vast the space to the east is? No, world-honored one, I cannot. Subhuti, can you imagine how vast the space to the south, west, and north is? No, world-honored one, I cannot. Subhuti, the merit of a bodhisattva who practices generosity without clinging to forms is likewise immeasurably vast. Subhuti, bodhisattvas should only teach others in this way to abide in their minds. In this passage, the Buddha primarily spoke of 3 points. First, a bodhisattva must universally liberate sentient beings, without discrimination or selection. Sentient beings here refers not only to humans, but to all animals, plants, and all living things. Second, a bodhisattva must universally liberate sentient beings, but at the same time, clearly understand that in reality, no sentient beings are liberated by the bodhisattva. Third, anyone who still clings to the 4 perceptions is not a bodhisattva. Why does the Buddha mention bodhisattvas here, following the first dialogue? Bodhisattva is a transliteration from the Sanskrit bodhisattva. Bodhi means the wisdom of the Buddha, and sattva means sentient being. Any sentient being who aspires to attain enlightenment and become a Buddha is called a bodhisattva. So, how does a bodhisattva achieve enlightenment and become a Buddha? Precisely by accomplishing the 3 points above. Normally, we think of the universal liberation of sentient beings as a task for some high bodhisattva, something far removed from ourselves. Daily, we simply clasp our hands and pray for a bodhisattva to bless and protect us in some aspect. But now, Understanding the Diamond Sutra, you will realize that universal liberation is no longer a distant task, but is very close to you, even present within you, as the most important mission of your life. Because, according to Buddhist philosophy, complete liberation from suffering is called nirvana. Nirvana is not death but ultimate fulfillment. It is neither born nor extinguished, neither coming nor going, eternally pure. That is the realm when one attains enlightenment. To attain enlightenment, one must universally liberate sentient beings. Why is this said? Because Buddhism is divided into Mahayana, great vehicle, and Hinayana, lesser vehicle. If one only cultivates wisdom for self-liberation, to help oneself be diligent, that is Hinayana practice. This path is not complete liberation and still involves suffering. Mahayana practice, however, means cultivating both wisdom and merit, known as twin cultivation of merit and wisdom. This is the path to ultimately achieving complete liberation from suffering. And the core way to cultivate merit and wisdom is to universally liberate sentient beings. In summary, the path to helping a person achieve complete enlightenment, thorough liberation from suffering and vexation, ending all hurt, and living a life of freedom, peace, tranquility, joy, and boundless love is to practice the 6 perfections and universally liberate sentient beings. But to do these 2 things, as the Buddha said, we must break all clinging and the 4 perceptions. This is also the most crucial teaching of the Diamond Sutra. So what are the 4 perceptions? The 4 perceptions are 4 things that people living in this world often cling to. They are self-perception, person perception, being perception, and lifespan perception. Perception, Chuang here refers to what we see externally. When humans see something, they generate views, keen meaning their own opinions, and then begin to judge and differentiate. Therefore, the word Chuang in Buddhist scriptures is often understood as external form and concept. The first perception we often cling to among the 4 is asterisk self-perception, Nga Chuang. Self-perception is simply the concept of ego. For example, what I like, what I hate, what I own, what I control. All these concepts are self-perceptions. When a person has too strong a self-perception, it means that person overvalues their ego, wants the whole world to conform to their will, and believes they must be paramount. Such a person easily feels dissatisfied and vexed by greed, anger, and ignorance, and consequently suffers more. Next, when one clings to self-perception, asterisk person perception, Enhan Chuang will inevitably arise, meaning perceiving others as independent individuals, opposing oneself. From this, the mind differentiates between mine, his, hers, its, others. Expanding further, asterisk being perception, Chung Sin Chuang, means clinging to all forms of life, such as categorizing good and bad species, high and low, or differences between social classes. The Diamond Sutra also says, if a bodhisattva still clings to the idea of saving sentient beings, believing I am something higher than sentient beings, so I should save and help them, then they have fallen into being perception. Conversely, one should not have the idea, I am saved by a certain bodhisattva. Do not assign any definition to it. This is also why the Buddha said that a bodhisattva must universally liberate sentient beings, but at the same time, clearly understand that in reality, no sentient beings are liberated by the bodhisattva. Zen Master Nan Huai-Chin explained, actually, the Buddha never called people followers. A true practitioner should also not view the Buddha as a teacher. The Buddha and sentient beings are not in a teacher-disciple relationship. They are fundamentally no different. The Buddha is sentient beings, and sentient beings are also the Buddha, differing only in whether they are enlightened or not. Finally, there is asterisk lifespan perception, though Jia Chuang. Lifespan perception means believing that something exists permanently and unchangingly. This is clinging to longevity or the idea that death is the end. To break the clinging to lifespan perception, one needs to transcend the concept of time, understanding that everything is neither born nor extinguished. These are the 4 perceptions that a person needs to dismantle all clinging to, and only by breaking these attachments can we truly awaken. We and sentient beings are no different. Liberating sentient beings is actually liberating oneself. Helping others is helping ourselves. If we help someone let go of clinging to the 4 perceptions and they become a Buddha, then we too become a Buddha. In fact, the core content of the Diamond Sutra lies in the first 2 dialogues. Zen Master Nan Huai-Chin said that if one thoroughly understands these two parts, there is no need to read the later parts of the Diamond Sutra. So, what must we do to break free from clinging to forms? First break ego clinging, then break form clinging. Before I had studied Zen for 30 years, I saw mountains as mountains and rivers as rivers. When I arrived at a more intimate knowledge, I came to the point where I saw that mountains are not mountains and rivers are not rivers. But now that I have got its very substance, I am at rest. I just see mountains again as mountains and rivers again as rivers. This is a famous saying by Zen Master Nan Huai-Chin about 3 levels of clinging to forms on the path to awakening. Seeing mountains as mountains is the state of complete clinging to forms, with one's eyes obscured by external appearances. For example, seeing others earn a lot of money, one also rushes to earn without knowing what it's truly for. The result is trading health for money, then using money to cure illness. This is complete clinging to forms, clinging to existence, which gives rise to greed for money and power, leading to suffering. Seeing mountains as not mountains is the state of denying everything. For example, some people, upon hearing Buddhist teachings, believe that money is bad, a mere ambition, and wonder what the point of having a lot of money is, often falling into a state of avoidance. This is still clinging to forms, clinging to non-existence. Once you deny everything, you still suffer. The realm of non-clinging must be seeing mountains as merely mountains . That is, money is just a tool to exchange for other things. It is neither good nor bad. What we need is not money, and certainly not a lot of money. To find joy and happiness, we only need what we truly require. That is enough. Do you see? What controls your life and keeps you trapped in the cycle of clinging to forms is your own opinion about the dichotomy of existence and non-existence, good and bad, wholesome and unwholesome, gain and loss, black and white, or right and wrong. We love to judge. Whether it's an object, an event, or a person, we tend to label and qualify. So, who gave rise to these dualistic, differentiating opinions? It is the ego within us. To break clinging to forms, one must first break clinging to the ego. That is, neither clinging to existence nor to non-existence. This is the state of *** no self, vo and ga. Emptiness, Kong, is a crucial concept in Buddhist philosophy. But you need to understand that emptiness is not nothingness, but rather entering a state of no self, meaning we no longer fall into dualistic thinking. Many people meditate and mistakenly think all is emptiness. They believe that whether this body lives long or not, whether it experiences joy or sorrow, is not worth mentioning, because eventually it will all turn to dust, all returning to emptiness. But this is still clinging to emptiness. Buddhist philosophy speaks of no self to help us release the chains in our minds, let go of attachment to self, and break down self-created prisons. So, how do we break ego clinging? The most essential way is to purify perceptions. Purify what you see to understand your true nature. As mentioned, when looking at forms, our ego often generates views, keen meaning our own opinions. And when there are views, delusion, hoke arises. Delusion here means doubt, confusion, bewilderment, and where there is delusion, there must be suffering. The Buddha summarized all types of human perceptions into 5 deluded views, keen hoke, and 5 deluded thoughts, 2 hoke. To break ego clinging and form clinging, we must eliminate these 10 types of perceptions, thereby purifying what we see and understanding the true nature of ourselves and of life itself. The *5 deluded views, keen hoke * include 1. Body view then keen, * clinging to this body as I, mine, or the self. 2. Extreme views by n keen, * clinging to one of 2 extremes, either believing that all things are permanent and unchanging, eternalism, or that all things are completely annihilated, nihilism. 3. Clinging to views, keen, meaning clinging to one's own opinions and ideas as absolutely correct. 4. Wrong views, keen, incorrect perceptions, believing in false things. 5. Clinging to moral precepts and rituals, jioi kam keen, clinging to superstitious rules, customs, rituals, and methods of practice, believing them to be correct and capable of bringing liberation. And what are the *5 deluded thoughts, 2 hoke? The 5 deluded thoughts include 1. Greed tham, excessive craving or desire for things that do not belong to oneself or are unnecessary. 2. Anger san, ***, hot temper, vexation, inability to control negative emotions. Anger is the opposite of greed. Greed desires what it doesn't have. Anger feels displeasure towards anything contrary to one's will, leading to resentment, hatred, and even harming others. 3. Ignorance (me). Delusion, foolishness, lack of understanding, not having a correct perception of the nature of things and phenomena. 4. Arrogance (man). Self-importance, thinking oneself superior to others, looking down on others, leading to vanity and competitiveness. 5. Doubt (engai). Hesitation, distrust, skepticism about what is right. These 5 deluded views and 5 deluded thoughts are the root causes of all vexations and suffering in life. These are also the 10 subjects everyone can begin to cultivate from now on, and as soon as you achieve them, you are immediately liberated. No more suffering. If you do it continuously, there will be no continuous suffering. However, you need to note that the Buddha immediately afterwards warned, one should not cling to the Dharma, one should not cling to non-Dharma. This means that after not clinging to ego and forms, one must also let go of Dharma forms. That is, letting go of all clinging to the methods one is using. All methods are merely rafts to help you cross the river. All conditioned phenomena are like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, a shadow, like dew or a lightning flash, thus we shall contemplate them. This is the most classic saying in the Diamond Sutra, meaning that all forms are illusory. When you can utter this sentence, it means you understand that all forms are unreal, so one should not cling to them. But at the same time, you must also know that even the very act of speaking this sentence is a form. So, one cannot cling to the form of this statement. This is not clinging to Dharma, not clinging to non-Dharma. One should not cling to anything, whether it is considered right, truth, or Dharma, or anything considered wrong, unorthodox, or non-Dharma. The hardest part of Mahayana practice lies in how to develop a mind which is not attached to anything. Ung vo so true Nhi-sin kai tam, many people, after hearing Buddhist teachings for a while, often feel they understand everything and cling rigidly to methods. If the Buddha says do, we cling to do. If the Buddha says don't, we cling to don't. We are always obsessed with whether we have done it right or not. This is clinging to Dharma forms. All methods that the Buddha pointed out to us, as he said, are merely like a raft, just a tool, a means. Our purpose is to use it to go from the shore of delusion to the shore of enlightenment. Without the raft, we cannot reach it, but once we reach the shore, we must not cling to the tool anymore. You need to step off the raft, because if you don't step off the raft, how can you get to the shore? Therefore, whatever you do, just focus on doing it. Don't bother with the outcome. Don't think whether you have achieved it or not. Even more, don't think you have already achieved it. As soon as the thought, I have done it, arises, you have clung to forms. Whether achieved or not achieved, cultivated or not cultivated, all are forms. Being sad because you haven't achieved it, being happy because you have that too, is clinging to forms. As long as you cling to forms, all previous efforts in practice dissipate like smoke. Therefore, we just need to do it. If you do it, you naturally won't suffer. If you don't, you will certainly still suffer. So don't think whether you have done it or not, just keep doing it. Understanding this, looking at life, we will see that our lives can always be truly easy, like a clear sky unburdened, like water flowing gently. Living each day, just be complete in the present. We don't need to let our minds wander into regrets of the past or worries about the future. When giving love, give it completely. There's no need to demand it returns in the exact way we desire. When progressing and achieving success, be happy in that moment, but don't hold on to pride or arrogance, lest you stop moving forward. When encountering failure, learn the lesson. We don't need to carry sorrow or regret. And when helping someone, don't expect them to be grateful, repay you, or elevate you. We live to know our mind as a mirror. All forms reflect in it, helping us to see existence. If nothing reflects, then nothing exists. When joy and sorrow come, we know they are merely temporary reflections, appearing and then disappearing. Let everything come and go naturally. There's no need to forcefully hold on to it. This is the wisdom of the middle way. Living in the world but not belonging to the world is the essence of liberation in Buddhist philosophy. In later parts, the Buddha shared his experiences and insights, letting us know that he, too, had lived a life without attaining any particular dharma. He emphasized that only by letting go of clinging to Dharma forms can we give rise to a pure mind. He continued to teach about cultivating wisdom within the 6 paramitas, but that must be a formless wisdom, without self-perception, person perception, being perception, or lifespan perception. These are the 4 perceptions we analyzed above and are the 4 attachments that must be broken. You will realize that in the 6 perfections, the first practice, generosity, corresponds to universally liberating sentient beings, which is also a core mission of a human life. And the last practice is wisdom. That wisdom must be formless wisdom, breaking the 4 perceptions. From beginning to end, we see a closed and profound logic of Buddhist philosophy. Ultimately, everything must happen naturally, without coercion, without seeking. So how does one become natural? Let's go back to the opening. Eating meals, wearing robes, washing feet, resting. The Buddha demonstrated the 6 perfections right in his daily actions to show us that there is no dharma to attain, because dharma is inherently present in every gesture, every moment. Words are just a means. Don't pursue anything to achieve a result. Don't cling to a method, an achievement, or any special ability for yourself. Every action you do daily, if lived fully, is * the Dharma. When you practice the 6 perfections, you are already in liberation from all suffering and vexation, no longer needing any other Dharma to attain. This concludes the entire content and core spirit of the Diamond Sutra. Finally, when you close the scripture, what resonates most deeply within you? Because in the end, there is nothing to hold on to, nothing to let go of. Only the empty, bright, self-liberated mind amidst all phenomena. May you be free from all vexations and suffering in this life. Thank you for listening.